This is a video for a car repair. Hi there! This video is going to be different from the norm. I will be attempting to repair my 2005 Honda Accord, which has stopped working. Yes, I am aware this is not the normal type of video I shoot. Yes, I am aware I am not a car expert, but I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens. So the problem is I was driving my car to work the other day and all of a sudden the gas pedal stopped working, as in I would push it and I would hear no noise and the car wouldn't go. I took the car into the dealership and paid the diagnostic fee. They determined it was the accelerator pedal position sensor, and they wanted to charge me $450 to repair it. So I ordered the part online for extra cheap, and I'm going to see if I can repair it myself and save some money. So here's the part I ordered. Let's take a look at it. Kind of cool looking. And the part number. You're also going to need some tools, like this thing. This requires a size 10 millimeter. What's it? Also, I thought I'd like to point out that you're probably going to need some kind of extension to plug into your ratchet so you can actually get to some of the bolts that are a little deeper in the car. Alright, let's get this party started. Which brings me to my first point. Always remember to release the latch on the hood before opening. Okay, now before we get started, I recommend doing a little bit of cleanup. It's going to save you some time in the long run. So look out for any loose wires or wires that may look like they're loose, possibly. And just yank those out. You probably don't need them. Be on the watch out for broken clothes hangers or whatever else you may happen to find. But all jokes aside, you should really rip out any wires that offend you. And here's where the module is in the very back. The APP sensor. There's a little cable that runs and another one over here, and you'll have to disconnect both, and you're gonna have to take these bolts off to get this thing out. Push here in the very back to release the cable. That, and you can kind of wiggle it and jiggle it. There we go. Okay, so I was able to remove that one just now. Okay, now I've removed that one back here, and after removing just those two, the whole thing is loose. Okay, so it turns out that getting this thing out of here is going to be very difficult, and I think it might be easier to just rotate this a little bit and try to remove these bolts on the bottom so that I can take it apart piece by piece. Okay, rotating this thing around in various angles, I was able to stick the ratchet thingy down here, and I was able to get the screws off the bottom. You see that whole section is missing now because I took this part off the bottom and it came out over here where there was more space. Now I'm able to get this thing out of here because it's smaller. Just go. Hello. Now I'm just going to work on the remaining bolts on here to disassemble this outer shell. So here's the new part and the old part. You can see, I guess I need to remove this bottom piece first. And now with those two screws on the bottom removed, it comes off. The only other thing that needs to be detached would probably be this wire now. So the first thing you want to do is untighten this nut in the back. Alright, now I managed to loosen up this guy here using one of these guys over here. And now this is loose, and I can pull it straight out of there. And the wire comes around back here. You pull this little wire, and you see how there's like a empty spot there? Let the wire go through there, and then the whole thing can kind of slide straight out. Like that. Anyway, I didn't quite capture it, but popped right out of there, believe me. Now it is officially detached. Here's the old part. Just got to reassemble it using the new part. Step one with the new part. Attach this wire thing to it. Ta-da! This thingy. Okay, after fiddling with this thing for a bit, I came to the conclusion, and this is just my guess, that you want this string here to be like a good tautness, not too taut, but not loose either. And so if you're adjusting this thing, you control how taut this is based off the fit of this whole new mechanism. And you can adjust this to decide how tight it's going to be. Like that would be extra tight. Once I tighten this one, that's really going to pull this wire over here like that. Okay, so I finished adjusting this guy and this guy, and I tightened him up, and now it's at what I imagine to be a good level of tightness, so that as soon as this thing starts pulling, then it can move this whole thing forward. And I actually ended up tightening this nut a little more than it was with the original part. And now that he's all squared away, I'm just going to reattach the bottom part to this thing. Now the top part needs to slide back on. And as I discovered, it's important that when you're attaching this cover, the screws need to go in this direction. Just like that. And lastly, I'm going to assemble this bottom piece right onto there. All the holes line up, but that needs to happen once I've jammed this through there, so I can feed my hands over here and attach it on the inside. Okay, perhaps the most annoying part, assembling this all back behind this bar. It's all, the bottom plate is attached down there. There's very little maneuverability, so expect to get really sweaty and annoyed. Now, you just have two more bolts. Just gotta screw these in to secure it back to those last two spots. There. And then one down over there somewhere. And the final step is to plug in the little thingamabobber. Just like that. Ta-da! Now for the moment of truth. When I turn the ignition and find out if the car explodes. Booyah! So it appears to have worked. And remember, I'm not a car expert, so what took me a good hour and a half may take you only 5 minutes.